I recently was invited to Washington, D.C. for a BLEXIT pro-police rally sponsored by Candace Owens' organization. I gave a speech. You should have been there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage author and radio host Larry Elder.
Test, test. It's on now. Wow. Nobody took a knee. You know, this whole narrative about the police out to get black people, the whole thing is complete and total BS. You know that, don't you? I'm in LA, and the coach of the Clippers named Doc Rivers, he just got fired. After a loss, he sits down at the table with a stat sheet, goes over exactly what happened with the game, goes over all the stats, blocks, assists, field throw percentage, three-point percentage, how many steals there were, all this stuff. Because in order to succeed in his profession, he has to connect the dots and be logical. George Floyd dies, Jacob Blake gets shot. What does Doc Rivers say? Has a press conference, he goes, why does this keep happening? LeBron James. Armin Arbery gets killed. LeBron James tweets out and says, black people are afraid to leave their homes. Same guy, after the game, whether he loses or wins, sits down, analytically goes over exactly what happened. Who did what wrong, very logical, connects the dots, uses stats. When it comes to this, why does this keep happening? Where does that same mind apply to this? The same mind would be asking things like, let's see, how many times do the police interact with civilians every year? 50 million times. Out of that, how many people are arrested every year? 11 million. How many cops are assaulted? 60,000. How many civilians are killed by the police? Out of a population of 350 million, 1,000. Almost all of them resisting arrest with a weapon or resisting arrest violently. When you get down to white cops killing unarmed black people, of that 1,000, you're talking about less than 4% of the total. And unarmed does not mean not dangerous. Michael Brown was unarmed, but his DNA was found on the officer's gun. So he was reasonably perceived as a threat. Of the cops who were killed last year, there were 60 of them, 40% of them were killed by blacks. Of the homicides in this country, 50% are black victims. Almost all of the black victims are killed by other blacks. So you're looking at a handful of unarmed blacks killed last year, 25, versus 7,000 blacks killed mostly by other blacks last year. But they don't care about that. They just care about it when a white cop kills a black person. That's when they care. Do you know there are more unarmed whites killed every year than unarmed blacks? Name one. Media couldn't care less. It's designed to manipulate you, to make you angry, and Democrats want you to be angry and pull that lever for the Democrats at 95% because of the perception of racial injustice on the part of cops and the perception that Democrats care about that and Republicans don't. We are being manipulated. Hollywood does it too. I was just talking to a gentleman from Paterson, New Jersey. Anybody see the movie Hurricane? Starring Denzel Washington? The movie was about a man wrongfully convicted of murdering 3 people, except he was not wrongfully convicted of murdering 3 people. He murdered 3 people. There's a website called graphicwitness.com/Carter. You can read, he flunked the polygraph test. There was eyewitness testimony. And if you saw the movie, there's a character who says, in response to somebody who says, well, he got convicted by 2 juries. And the character says, all white juries, false. The second jury had 2 blacks on it. The reason I mention this is because you are being manipulated. There are 2 films that came out about the Central Park 5. One by Ken Burns, one by Ava DuVernay. Both of them complete and total BS. I interviewed the lead detective, by the way, who happened to be black. Neither one of them interviewed the lead detective. How do you do a film without interviewing the lead detective? How do you do that? And her doctor, if you recall what happened, a guy named Mateus Reyes claims he's the one who did it. His DNA was found at the crime scene. But the doctor, her doctor said there was lots of DNA inside of her, lots of semen inside of her. Several people did it, not just this one guy. She did not include him in the film, and she said she didn't believe him. You didn't believe her doctor? You are being manipulated. And when it comes to black, white, black murder, twice as many white people are killed by blacks as the other way around. Most homicide is same race homicide, but to the extent that there is black, white, black homicide, last year there were 750. 500 whites were killed by blacks, 250 blacks were killed by whites. So blacks are killing twice as many whites as whites are killing blacks. And if you look about non-homicide violent crime, black, white, roughly 600,000 interracial acts of violent crime every year, excluding homicide. 85 to 90% of the time, it is a black perp. Only 10 to 15% of the time, it's the other way around. Where's White Lives Matter? We are being manipulated. The number one problem facing the black community is not racist cops. It's not income inequality. It's not climate change. The number one problem facing the black community is the lack of fathers in the home. 70% of black kids are raised without fathers. And forget about elder. Barack Obama said a kid raised without a father is 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in jail. Now, the question is, why have we gone from 25% of black kids born outside of wedlock in 1965 to 70% today? And the answer is, it's the welfare state. The welfare state is incentivizing women to marry the government and allowing men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. And that's what we ought to be talking about. But we're not having that conversation because, again, they are manipulating us. They want us to think about racism, racism, racism. I thought that we put a fork in that when Barack Obama got elected in 2008. I mean, this is a man who got a higher percentage of the white vote than John Kerry did 4 years earlier. And by the way, Donald Trump got a lower percentage of the white vote than Mitt Romney did 4 years earlier. And about this BS about Donald Trump sending a racist dog whistle to his supporters, riddle me this. The city over 100,000 that voted most for Donald Trump is Abilene, Texas. The city is about 140 years old. Guess which city of 140 years old just elected a black mayor? Abilene, Texas. Now, how does a racist city that pulled the lever for Donald Trump turn around and then vote for a black mayor overwhelmingly to run the town? How does that happen? There were 700 counties that voted for Obama in 2008, 2012. 200 of them switched to Donald Trump in 2016. When were they bitten by the racist radioactive spider? We are being manipulated. This is a country where you can realize your potential to the greatest degree in all of human history, and we ought to be doing that. This is a party, the Democratic Party, that opposes school choice. I went to a school called Crenshaw High School. If you saw the movie Boys in the Hood, that's my high school. Right now, 3% of kids at my former high school can do math at grade level. 3%. That's not a typo. 3%. And it's a Crip school, meaning it's run by the gang called the Crips. I know that because Ice-T went there 10 years after I did and told me he wanted to go to Crenshaw because he wanted to go to a Crip school. What? There are 13 public high schools in Baltimore where 0% of the kids can do math at grade level. 0. There's another half a dozen where 1% can. Now, what parent sends their kid to a school where 0% of kids can do math at grade level if they have a choice? And the answer is nobody does. But the Democrat Party is mandating your kid is going to go there whether you like it or not. Republican Party wants to give you choice. Finally, illegal immigration. There's a Harvard professor named George Borjas. He's probably done more work on the impact of legal and illegal immigration than anybody else. And there are winners and losers behind illegal immigration. Obviously, the winners are the illegal aliens themselves and people who employ them at lower wages than they would pay American workers. The big loser, unskilled black and brown workers living in the inner city who have to compete for jobs they would otherwise hold and whose wages are put downward because of the availability of illegal wages. Donald Trump is doing something about illegal immigration. The Democratic Party couldn't care less. Donald Trump supports public choice in school. The Democratic Party couldn't care less. Yet the black people go in there like lemmings and pull that lever 95% for a party that is denying your child an opportunity to get the best possible education, that doesn't care at all about the competition posed by illegal alien workers. We need to wake up. Nobody had a tougher life than my father, nobody. My father was kicked out of the house when he was 13 years old, Athens, Georgia, at the beginning of the Great Depression, Jim Crow South. He has had a single mom who was irresponsible, had a bunch of boyfriends. My dad comes home one day at the age of 13, quarrels with his mom's then boyfriend. She sides with the boyfriend, kicks my father out of the house, never to return. My father became a janitor, became a Pullman porter. He joined the Marines. If anybody had a reason to be angry at the world, it's somebody like my father's generation. My father told my brothers and me the same thing all the time. Hard work wins. You get out of life what you put into it. You cannot control the outcome, but damn it, you are 100% in control of the effort. And before you moan about what somebody did to you, look at the mirror and say to yourself, what could I have done to change the outcome? And finally, my father always told my brothers and me, sooner or later, bad things are going to happen. How you respond to those bad things will tell your mother and me if we raised a man. Knowledge is power. Do not let them manipulate you. May God bless America, and may God continue to bless you guys and Donald Trump.
A good time was had by all. I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.